About 75% of American homes have a basement. About 5% of European homes have one. Japanese homes almost never have a basement at all. The few that do are usually wine cellars in luxury houses or industrial storage in commercial buildings. Some American suburban developments push past 95% basement coverage. Every single house in the neighborhood has an entire extra floor hidden underground. If you have ever watched a European visitor walk into an American home and pause at the door that leads downstairs, looking confused about where it goes and why it exists, you have already seen the second-order effect of this difference. American homes contain an entire additional floor below ground level because somewhere along the way the country decided that digging a hole and pouring concrete for a room nobody walks into daily was the most important structural feature of building a house. Here is the punchline up front. American homes do not have basements because Americans love basements. They have basements because of three things that stacked on top of each other over 150 years. A climate problem that required deeper foundations, a coal heating industry that demanded indoor storage, and a tornado threat that locked basement construction into American building codes. Take any one of those three away, and the modern American basement does not exist. Take all three away, which is essentially what Europe and Japan did, and you get the no-basement design that most of the world considers normal. And here is the wildest part of the whole story. Most American homeowners do not actually use their basements for living. They use them for storage. For the laundry machine, for the furnace, for things that have no other place to go. The room they paid 30% extra in construction costs to add to their house, they treat as the appliance closet. Hidden Systems explains the everyday things in homes and daily life that look like personal choices, but are actually decisions made by builders, climate, and history long before any current homeowner moved in. Subscribe so you do not miss the next one. Now let me walk you back to where this started. In most of the United States, winter ground freezes downward to a specific depth measured in inches. Engineers call this the frost line. In Minnesota, the frost line reaches 60 inches below the surface. In Pennsylvania, 42 inches. In Georgia, just 15 inches. In the United Kingdom, it averages about 18 inches, similar to the Southern American states. This single fact changed everything about how American homes had to be built. Building codes everywhere require house foundations to extend below the frost line. If a foundation sits above the frost line, water in the soil freezes and expands, lifting the foundation upward. The next spring, the soil thaws and the foundation drops back down. Over years, this cycle cracks foundations and tilts houses. To prevent this, building codes require the bottom of the foundation to sit below where soil will ever freeze in that climate. In the northern half of the United States, that means digging at least 4 feet down, often deeper. In some regions, 7 feet down. Now here is the practical reality. If you are already digging a 7-foot deep hole for the foundation, you have two choices. You can pour a thick concrete slab at the bottom and backfill 6 feet of dirt on top, or you can pour walls all the way up and create a basement. The cost difference is small. The space gained is enormous. American builders chose the basement. European builders in the colder parts of the continent could have made the same choice. Some did. Germany has more basements than France. Sweden has more than Italy. But most European builders chose to backfill or build above grade because of one specific factor American builders never had to deal with: heating fuel that needed indoor storage. In 1900, the dominant home heating fuel in the United States was coal. Anthracite coal in the eastern states, bituminous coal in the Midwest. Every American home that had central heating in 1900 needed somewhere to store several tons of coal, enough to get the family through winter. Coal cannot sit outside. It absorbs moisture, becomes harder to burn, and creates dust and runoff that destroys nearby surfaces. The basement became the coal room. By the 1920s, the typical American home had a coal chute leading from the driveway down into a corner of the basement. The delivery truck would back up to the house, open the chute, and pour several tons of coal directly into the basement bin. The basement also housed the coal furnace itself, a massive iron contraption that burned the coal and pushed heat upward through ducts into the rooms above. Coal needed space. The basement provided it. Then natural gas replaced coal between 1930 and 1960. The coal storage room was no longer necessary, but the basement was already there. The furnace stayed in the basement because the ducts were already routed that way. The water heater moved into the basement because the gas line was already there. The laundry moved into the basement because the plumbing was already there. The room that was originally built around coal storage became the utility floor for every appliance that needed water, gas, or electricity routing. European homes did not have this requirement. Europe transitioned away from coal heating earlier. In the United Kingdom, town gas had replaced coal in most urban homes by 1900. In France, electric heating arrived with rural electrification in the 1920s and 1930s. European builders never needed an indoor coal room because European homeowners burned different fuels. Here I have to admit something. When I started researching this video, I assumed the American basement was a cultural preference. Americans like extra space. The data forced me to throw that assumption out completely. The basement is not a cultural choice. It is a frozen ground problem solved with a coal storage room that became permanent. The room that exists in 75% of American homes today exists because of climate engineering and fossil fuel logistics, not because anybody preferred living above an extra concrete box. The behavior did not precede the appliance. The appliance preceded the behavior. Then, in 1925, the third thing happened. Tornadoes. That year, a single tornado, the Tri-State Tornado, killed 605 people across Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana. It is still the deadliest tornado in American history. The public response was immediate and lasting. Building codes in tornado-prone states began requiring storm shelters in new construction. A basement provided that shelter naturally. The room that was already being built for foundation depth and coal storage suddenly had a third reason to exist. By the 1950s, every tornado state building code recommended a basement or storm cellar for new home construction. In Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Iowa, Nebraska, and Texas, basements became close to mandatory for safety reasons. European countries do not have tornadoes at the same frequency or intensity. The European tornado average is approximately 350 per year across the entire continent. The American tornado average is approximately 1,200 per year. A European builder has no reason to construct a basement for storm safety. An American builder in the Midwest could not skip one and remain insurable. Three causes stacked over 100 years produced the modern American basement: foundation depth, coal storage, storm shelter. Every American homeowner today inherits a room that exists for reasons that may not apply to their personal situation, climate, or heating system. Compare those two homes for a second. Typical American suburban home has approximately 2,400 square feet of above-ground living space and another 900 square feet of basement. Total construction footprint: 3,300 square feet of finished or finishable space. The typical European home has approximately 1,600 square feet of total living space, all above ground. No basement, no additional underground room. The home occupies less land, costs less to build, requires less material, and uses less energy to maintain. Same purpose, same century of construction, two completely different relationships with what lives beneath the floor. One stores history below. The other lives at ground level only. Neither is wrong, but they are not interchangeable. The infrastructure cost of American basements is invisible until you measure it. Deeper excavation, more concrete, waterproofing systems, sump pumps, dehumidifiers, mold remediation, foundation crack repair. According to the National Association of Home Builders, basement construction adds approximately 30 to 40% to the cost of a new home. Lifetime maintenance of a basement averages another $15,000 in repairs, waterproofing, and equipment replacement. Most of that money is spent on a room the family rarely uses for living. Stack those three causes: the frost line depth requirement, the coal storage era of 1900 to 1950, and the tornado building codes after 1925, and you get the modern American basement, a room so common that most homeowners cannot imagine a house without one, so embedded in building codes that some states make removing a basement nearly impossible, so expensive that it adds the price of a small car to every house built around it. Now here is where it gets weird. The thing keeps growing. Modern American basements are no longer just utility floors. They are finished living spaces, home theaters, wine cellars, game rooms, home gyms. In some luxury homes, basements are larger than the above-ground living area. According to housing market data through 2025, the average finished basement adds 12 to 15% to the resale value of a home in cold climate regions. In warm climate regions where basements are uncommon, this premium disappears entirely. The high-end American suburb now treats the basement the way 18th century French aristocrats treated their dining rooms. It is the showcase room of the home, designed for entertainment and status display rather than utility. There is one detail in the historical record that reveals the whole logic of how this happened. In 1948, a Massachusetts builder named William Levitt was constructing the first mass-produced American suburb in Levittown, New York. Levitt did not build basements. His original homes were built on concrete slabs, no underground space, no foundation walls deeper than required. The reason was speed. Slab construction was twice as fast as basement construction. Levitt built 17,000 homes in 3 years using slab foundations. By 1955, Levittown homeowners were demanding basements be added to subsequent developments, not for storage, not for safety, for social conformity. Their neighbors in older neighborhoods had basements. They wanted basements too. Read that backwards. Levitt was not responding to consumer demand for basements. Levitt had explicitly proven basements were not necessary for affordable suburban housing. Homeowners demanded basements anyway because the lack of one made their houses feel inferior to the houses around them. The basement became a status marker for being a real, complete American home, regardless of whether the family needed the space. The behavior did not precede the appliance. The appliance preceded the behavior. William Levitt died in 1994 after building approximately 140,000 homes across the United States. He could not have imagined that the slab foundation efficiency he pioneered would be rejected by the very market he had built. That his attempt to make affordable housing scalable would be overruled by homeowners demanding the very feature he had eliminated. That 7 decades after he proved basements were optional, 75% of American homes would still have one. Each American basement built today contains more concrete than Levitt used in the foundations of his first 50 Levittown homes combined. Does your home have a basement? What do you actually use it for? Drop your zip code's first 3 digits and what is in your basement right now in the comments. I want to see how this varies by region. I read every single one.